the greatest strikeout pitcher ever, today on Sunday Baseball. And stepping up to the plate, it's Sunday Baseball with Indy. Today I'm going to talk about the greatest strikeout pitcher in history.
Nolan Ryan.
No.
Sandy Koufax.
No.
Randy Johnson.
No.
Walter Johnson?
No, Larry, the guy I'm talking about didn't even play baseball.
Okay, now you've lost me.
This episode should more properly be titled Sunday Softball because that's what sport I'm talking about. More specifically, men's fast-pitch softball, which for a couple of decades after World War II was a really big deal. And the guy I'm talking about is none other than the late, great Eddie Feigner.
Eddie Feigner?
Or Feigner, depending on which version you believe. I say Feigner.
Never heard of him.
Well, you have now. Eddie Feigner was one of the most bizarre and amazing talents ever, and his windmill pitches were clocked at up to 104 miles an hour.
Wow.
He averaged 19 strikeouts for every 21 batters he faced in his prime, and once pitched a 34-inning game during which he struck out 73 batters. Here is some footage of Eddie Feigner from 1959. But he wasn't just good, he was awesome. Here's him throwing strikes from behind his back.
Watch this pitch.
Kneeling down. Blindfolded. And this was the usual result of Feigner's work.
Feigner can fire at a 104-mile-an-hour clip, and most batters just try to laugh off their embarrassment.
You know what my favorite Feigner trick was? Where he would actually pitch the ball to himself. Check this out.
Or does he? That's the ball still in King Feigner's glove. How about that?
See, I would totally swing at that. I would have swung at that.
But he's pitching from a shorter distance than in baseball. How'd he do from a longer distance?
Well, to make things interesting, he would sometimes pitch from all the way back at second base, so distance wasn't really a problem.
Ordinarily, his opponents feel that this is a real break, but the King soon discourages them by firing just as fast from the middle sack. See what I mean?
His career with his team, the King and his court, lasted nearly 60 years, and they played over 10,000 games, including 930 no-hitters and 239 perfect games. Now, this record was compiled against full 9-person teams, while the King and his court was only 4 people. It was Feigner, a catcher, a shortstop, and a first baseman.
Why only 3 other guys?
He actually wanted to play with only 2, just himself and a catcher, but he was worried that the other team would just walk him and strand him on base, so he needed 4 players so his team could actually run all the bases. Born in 1925 in Walla Walla, Washington, Feigner's adoptive name was Merle King. He was expelled from high school for troublemaking, and he learned his true background when he joined the Marines during World War II. Now, it turns out that his mother, his real mother, actually lived in his neighborhood, and he used to mow her lawn when he was a teenager without knowing it. True story. Anyway, after the war, Feigner took his mother's last name, and he took the name Eddie from a friend, which is kind of creepy and weird on many levels, but, you know, what are you gonna do? Okay, here's how he got started. In 1946, he just shut out the local team in Walla Walla.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Walla, walla.
Walla Walla who?
Walla, walla, walla. Tell me more, was it love at first sight?
Tell me more, did she put up a fight? Here's the
Eddie
thing.
Feigner, that's where it ends.
Eddie Feigner, we'll still be friends. Then we made our true love vow. Wonder what he's doing now. Softball. Softball dreams ripped at the seams. But those softball Where do I go from there?
Nothing could be finer than to be an Eddie Feigner in the morning.
After the shutout, Feigner was dared to pitch with just a skeleton crew instead of a full team, and he accepted the dare. And he pitched a perfect game, and he was off, putting together the king in his court and hitting the road. In all, they played in all 50 states, in over 100 countries, and in front of over 200 million people. And he was on all kinds of TV shows in the 1960s and the 1970s.
Why didn't you ever play Major League Baseball?
By the 1960s, Feigner was making $100,000 a month, while the biggest stars in Major League Baseball were making that for an entire year. Now, apparently he was offered contracts to play Major League Baseball several times, but I don't actually know the details about that. However, here's how he may have done against big league competition. In a televised national broadcast in 1964, Feigner struck out, in order, Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Maury Wills, Harmon Killebrew, Roberto Clemente, and Brooks Robinson, all in a row. He was 39 at the time. A stroke in the year 2000 ended Feigner's career at the age of 75. Yes, he was still pitching at the age of 75, and the great Eddie Feigner died February 9th, 2007. So there you have it, Larry, the greatest strikeout pitcher of all time.
And my new hero.
You can watch that whole video of Feigner from 1959 here. And you can watch more Sunday baseball each and every Sunday by clicking on the subscribe button.
Night.
Tell me more, tell me more. For more cool baseball trivia and history, follow Sunday Baseball on Twitter. Sunday Baseball is shot every week at Larry's Corner in Stockholm, Sweden.